Hey, I'm Roy Harmon, and this is the Hot Pursuit podcast brought to you by LeadPost, the retargeting platform built to help agencies increase revenue and improve ROI for their clients by identifying website visitors that don't convert. Learn more at leadpost.com/agency. Today, we are joined by Islin Munisteri, CRO at Theia Strategies, and she is coming to us from Denver, Colorado, to talk to us about product-led growth. Thank you for being with us today.
Awesome. It's great. Thanks for having me, Roy.
Can you tell us a little bit about your background before we jump into the meat of it?
Sure. So, started out as petroleum engineer in Houston with BP. Went to state of Alaska and worked there for a few years, and then came back to Colorado to start RevOps agency with my partner, and that is Theia Strategies. And we've been around since 2018, and we help SaaS, nonprofit, financial services, and healthcare companies with their revenue operations processes, which includes marketing, sales, and customer success, and making sure our clients' customers have a good experience and they don't churn.
Very important not to churn.
Yeah.
The idea of product-led growth, I feel like, has really been getting some traction over the last few years. And in my experience, from what I've seen, that's with good reason. But could you talk to us a bit about, from your perspective, why it's so effective?
Sure. I think PLG is effective because it takes a play out of e-commerce platforms like Amazon. And even though it's not quite as custom tailored to the customer as Amazon, uh, PLG is a self-serve process that puts the customer first. And so the user gets a small taste of the core product or the entire core product for, a 7-day free trial or other mechanisms. And then you can see this with HubSpot Growth Starter, for example, the super low cost product, low entry price for a CRM. And then if you like it and as your business grows, you can move up market into, more of the marketing automation, sales automation tools, and all of HubSpot's core features, like what they're known for. So you also have a lower customer acquisition costs. I wouldn't say you just put up a website and do a form fill and then that's PLG, but it's a lot simpler than doing outbound, where you're you know going to the market trying to get meetings, and it's like somewhere between $300 to $500 to $1,000 a meeting when you break it down, and this is a much lower. I would say this is a lower friction process to start learning about a product, and you learn about it by using it. So,
And do you think that what industries or types of businesses would you say are best suited to trying this approach?
are you saying outside of SaaS and technology?
Well, even within SaaS and technology, would you say just pretty much any tech company is going to be a good fit, or do you think that it's something where there's a few factors that you'd need to meet to be able to really see some success through this method?
That's a good question. I would say, if your growth is more B2C, you're trying to get individual customers onto like a training platform, or I would say um, it's more of a B2C play, the PLG motion. You get a few users in, and then you start getting more and more executives onto the platform, and then it becomes more of a B2B play. But I think it becomes it's really, I think, as long as you, well, even I think even if you have an enterprise motion, right, you still have to have, those initial users coming in, um, to even try the product before you can even, do that enterprise level onboarding, very customized onboarding with, the whole leadership team, right? Um, and I don't know if, PLG has been just limited to SaaS and tech, right? You see a lot of PLG motion in home services too, right? Where you see, um, we'll come by and do a free water test, or we'll come by and do a free, like, try before you buy, um, motion, and then so you could have PLG in other places too, but I think it's predominantly, um, in SaaS and tech, and I've seen it in, FinTech products, cybersecurity, training. Um, there's lots of different industries that PLG can apply to.
And would you say when it comes to getting those first customers at that point, how important is it to really understand who your ideal customer is? Is that something you want to really have that ICP built out before you get started?
That is a good question. It's kind of like you're trying to fly the plane as you're building it in this case, right? So you say for example, you have your first 10 customers, um, or first 25 customers. You try and see what are the similarities and differences between all of them, and how did you find a way to sell into those departments, um, and that helps create your ICP, right? You can also create an ICP just by, not having any of that data at all, and say, I just want to sell to financial services. They need to have this many financial advisors. I need to be talking with, like, a market director or some level of leadership, that that type of thing. But with the ICP, you put the customer at the center of product development, and you can tailor your product's features and enhancements to solve the customer's issues, which is why they're using your product in the first place, right? But I think the ICP, or having a clear ICP, helps you cut through a lot of trial and error. And I mean, you will go through a lot of trial and error in creating the ICP, but at least you're not selling to the whole market. You're not trying to boil the whole ocean. You're just selling to these particular people, and then you can see if you're having success in that or not. So just keep on iterating.
And how important is it to have kind of a feedback loop from your customers to your team? When it comes to product-led growth, I'm assuming it's not only that growing your you're not just growing your customer base, but at the same time, are you using the input from those customers to inform the direction that the actual product goes?
I think so. Um, so right, with RevOps processes, you have sales, marketing, sales, and customer success, right? And for example, with HubSpot, they have an ideas forum where you can submit ideas and product, new product descriptions. For example, I wanted to have a uh, like preview text on a sales sequence, right? So I submitted that as an ideas forum, and it's been upvoted. And at some point, I hope the product team will start working on it. But so that's like kind of the customer success side, is having either an ideas forum or some sort of NPS survey, to go out to customers every now and then to see how they're doing on the product. You can also see with products like Pendo, um, how your customers are using and engaging in your product, and you can send that back to your CRM, or you can have a direct connect, like API connection between your product and the CRM. So marketing, sales, and customer success can all see how the customer is engaging with the product. And then you also have like marketing and sales alignment, like answering that ICP question. You have marketing and sales alignment so that, all of your blogs, all your case studies, uh, customer stories, and everything are helping your target prospects make a decision in the customer journey.
And how important is it to understand that customer journey? And kind of what are some of the factors in play when you're working on figuring that out?
I mean, how HubSpot describes it is awareness, consideration, decision. Right? Are you aware that you have a problem, but you're not quite, you don't even know
Hmm.
quite how to solve it? And then in consideration, you're considering, you know, these top, you 5 vendors. Um, and then in decision, you narrow it down to like the one vendor that will give you the services. Um, so I would say that uh, you like mapping the customer journey is not just a one person thing, right? It's a team. It's a whole team thing between marketing, sales, customer success, and product. Um, and so, maybe the product journey starts with a Google ad to a landing page, and they fill out a form. This is very simple. Um, and then they meet the ICP criteria. Someone reaches out to them within an hour of filling out the form, or they book a meeting right away. And then they have the meeting, and then proposal, and then, close one. Like that's a very simple customer journey. But what a lot of customer journeys look like are like noodles, right? They go to like 10 different websites. They think they found someone they like, and then they ask ChatGPT a question, and then they're like, oh, I didn't think about that. And then they go back online, and then eventually they will hopefully make a decision. They know they have a pain point, right? But they will get there. So it's really like in your marketing, creating content around awareness, consideration, decision. And then if you have evangelists, you can create evangelist content too. But it's just being on that flywheel, like HubSpot has the flywheel,
Right.
right? Where people are referrals are feeding your sales pipeline, and it's like a virtuous circle somehow. But it's really like your customer journey is like not easily map outable. Like it could be very simple for some B2C products or services, right? But when you're trying to look at Forrester and like G2 and 20 other different review sites and Trustpilot, um, and then someone's landing page, and like it becomes quite a jumbled mess in how people evaluate software.
So you've talked a little bit about some of the marketing and sales elements. How do all these pieces fit together, especially if you're, uh, let's say you do have sort of maybe some enterprise level customers where maybe you want to handle those differently, and then you have maybe some SMB type customers and you handle those another way. How does all that fit together?
I mean, on small teams, right, you'd have to decide how much time you'd want to put on SMB versus enterprise. Um, but I guess how all those in a larger organization, right, you have different segments, right? There's a sales team and a customer success team just for SMB, right? And then there's like a marketing team, not just for SMB, but kind of generally creating content for all of the different segments in the ICP. But you'd have like different segments for SMB, mid-market, and enterprise. When you're a smaller company, right, all that kind of gets mixed together. So I would say, at least in my experience at a smaller company, you decide just to go after the mid-market and enterprise companies and leave the SMB for someone else, right? Because they might be too much work in their per dollar, to get, or something like that, right? You just decide to focus on those bigger customers, and that could be what drives greater growth in the beginning, right? I forgot the guy's name, but he helped grow Level Set, and so his playbook was like, there's you're looking at the ACV of these contracts, right? And so if you're trying to go like find your dream 100 clients, like your top 100 accounts, and keep on trying to sell to them until you get in or until they say no. But yeah, when you have a larger company, you can go after all three segments, and you have different teams to do it. If you have a smaller company, oftentimes you just need to focus.
What about, and maybe this would be more for companies that are looking a little bit at both, but you've talked about using segmentation and routing leads based on their size and whether they're going to go into that PLG motion or whether it's going to be more sales led. Is that something that that you're usually setting up in HubSpot? Can you talk a little bit more about that approach?
Yeah, I mean we've set up lead routing before in HubSpot, so you can do it via the marketing automation tools in HubSpot. So that's a pretty well, depending on the size of your team, they're trying to route leads, so that could be a pretty easy process, or it could be almost like maybe 2 or 3 weeks. There's also tools like Chili Piper that you can use to route inbound leads as well. And then if you're on Salesforce, you can use tools like Lean Data to route leads and schedule meetings. But you need to, it goes back to the basics, right? You need to know your ICP and current customers well to define the right segments in lead routing. And you need to iterate, right? And understand, unfortunately, it's not a set it up and forget it process. There's a constant process of continuous improvement and iteration in this. And as people leave and can move around the team, you need to update the lead routing, or maybe you decide to enter a new segment, right? And so your lead routing needs to be updated to reflect that.
And what is the role of RevOps in executing a good PLG strategy?
I would say the role of RevOps is to make sure that people are aligned on the business objectives and strategy first, from the lead management to customer success, all of it. So you need to have clear KPIs and goals. Those are different, but clear KPIs and goals that everyone agrees with, like user activation or feature adoption or conversion rates or customer lifetime value. Like, you need to define those clear KPIs, and then on some sort of cadence, whether that be once every 2 weeks or once a month, you need to review and adjust your strategies based on performance data and current market conditions. And then right? You need to have people alignment, between marketing, sales, and customer success, and break down those silos. It really is one revenue team. And you need to really have clear roles and responsibilities that align with PLG to avoid overlaps and make sure you have coverage of all your customer touch points and make sure it's all working. And then make sure you have a process. It's like a process for lead management, a process for data management and follow-ups, a process for automation. You also need to have feedback loops in those processes to make sure they're in good shape, right? And they're scaling as your company is growing. And then with tech, right, you need to have Salesforce or HubSpot or another CRM that's the backbone with all of your prospect and customer data in it. And then make sure there's no data silos, and really making sure that you're integrating, prospect and customer feedback into the loop with RevOps. Like you can't just set it and forget it. You gotta constantly keep on iterating.
So it's a lot.
Yeah. It's not that easy.
And are these the kind of things that Theia helps companies with?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we offer, ongoing services with companies starting at, $5K a month. We have both fixed price packages and just T&M, time and materials, and we just go in, fix things, help you understand what problems are coming up in lead routing or customer health scoring, or why your sales process is not working as well as it should, or what are the issues coming up in RevOps, and really just helping you solve them. We're your strategic partner.
How much of that technical aspect, when it comes to things like just are all the workflows working, or the automations set up properly, how much of that are you involved with?
My team is involved with that pretty heavily. They're the technical aspects of HubSpot and Salesforce. That's where, and Chili Piper and Zoom Info not connecting. It's just all of those in the entire tech stack. We take care of your entire tech stack so your business can run smoothly. You can close deals. I mean, revenue operations is really the operations behind making your front office teams like marketing, sales, and customer success work together. And then we have more advanced applications, right, where you bring in your product data into the CRM, and that type of thing, so that your front office teams can action on that data, and they can send out automations. It's like, oh, I noticed you haven't logged in the past 3 weeks, and it's right before tax day. It's a FinTech product, and that's why that's what we do.
And are you familiar with have you ever heard of Stack Moxie?
Yeah, I've heard of Stack Moxie. It's been a while since I've heard of them.
That's an interesting one to check out. It's like automated monitoring and testing of just everything that could possibly break, and they will basically, it monitors all that. And I think they actually do a product led. I think they're actually doing a product led approach, because I think they've moved to like a freemium option. But that's a really interesting product. I don't know if there's really anything else like it. I had to look it up real quick to remember. They used to be called Automaton, but now they're Stack Moxie.
Cool. Yeah, it looks like a good tool to monitor system health. Yeah, it's like for system health, for example, data cleaning. Everyone hates data cleaning, but we also use a tool called InCycle for data cleaning for ourselves and our clients.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there's quite a few tools in Stack Moxie. I think Salesforce has their own system because I don't see Salesforce mentioned in Stack Moxie, but yeah, Stack Moxie is I think they're a
Something,
marketing operations pro
yeah.
partner or something.
Well, could you tell people a little bit more about if they want to learn more about Theia, or where can they find follow you and get more of your insights?
Definitely. You can find us at theiastrategies.com. You can, if you're that interested, you can schedule a meeting with us right on the homepage. We're HubSpot and Salesforce partners and highly technical in what we do. So if you have a hairy problem that no one else has been able to solve, related to revenue operations, we can definitely solve it. You can find me on LinkedIn as well, Islin Munisteri. LinkedIn/in/Islin Munisteri.
Yeah, and we'll add some links too.
Definitely.
We'll make it easy. We'll make it easy on them.
Yay. And yeah, we really enjoy what we do. I would say we're different than most agencies. If you go to our About Us page, it appears that we have a soul. I hope we have a soul. But it's really our tagline is going from chaos to calm, and it's really taking your tech stack from unmanageable or very hard to understand to having clear processes, having clear documentation, and then also making sure it's actually all working correctly in the way you expect it to.
It's a lot of the things that I think most people find to be a huge pain, but a necessary evil. And so for anybody who has the resources, I think that finding a good partner who really knows what they're doing and can make sure that everything is implemented right is crucial, because the last thing you want to do is build something like this out and then realize that you got a couple areas that you messed up, and now you got to patch them up with duct tape, and next thing you know, everything is just falling in on itself.
Yep, that is true. You don't want that. Yeah, we've come in before and cleaned up messes as well. Everyone likes a new implementation, right? But there is, we also do tech stack cleanup. So
Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I really enjoyed it. I think this is a really interesting topic that is only going to become bigger, especially as new tools come out that are really going to make this sort of, I think going to make this a lot easier. So it's a good time to be learning about it.
awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me, Roy, and this was a really, really good podcast.